Outsource the thinking, you'll eventually outsource the accountability. Let's talk about that. So first, this is not a beat up the big consulting guys channel. Even though I have a lot of shows that are critical of them. Obviously, consulting firms, like any other business, they have good people and bad people, who work in those firms, and who you deal with is typically the experience you're going to get. So that's kind of my perspective here. There's no good or bad aspects of all of this. It's the ability to kind of approach consulting like any other service, arming yourself with enough information to make sure you're getting the value out of them that you need, and doing so in a way that's going to guarantee that they're going to live up to their expectations. So ultimately, this is going to be a buyer's guide. How do you approach the big consultants out there, and how do you gain the most value out of them, for the least amount of money? And this does not mean, trying to have a defensive or an aggressive kind of posture with them, and not looking at them as some sort of an evil entity, but looking at them as to what they are. They're a group of people that are trying to do the right thing. Sometimes I think may be a bit off kilter in how they look at technology directions, things like AI and cloud computing, but also they have the ability to scale. And in many cases, enterprises out there need to get their AI strategies up and running quickly. They need to get their AI systems put on the cloud-based platforms and non-cloud-based platforms. And they're looking for key advice to make them successful. And that comes from, as a default, from the large cloud consulting firms, the large AI consulting firms, or the large big consulting firms that they've been dealing with for the last sometimes 100 years. And so I understand why that existing relationship exists, and you want it to be a durable relationship that brings you into the next generation of the technology, in this case AI. And it's perfectly legitimate for you to bring them into the discussion. However, you also have to be wary of what their goals and objectives are. You also have to be wary in terms of how you're going to hold them accountable. Because I think in many cases over the past 20, 30 years, as enterprises have dealt with these large consulting firms, they've allowed them to make, serial decisions that turned out not to be the best for the enterprise. In some cases, the best for the consulting firm. And so not all, but some. And I think you need to be wary of those and look out to make sure those things don't happen to you. So in 2026, hire a big consulting firm for speed and industrial scale execution, but don't outsource the strategy, because you'll end up renting your own technical direction.